Let's begin in Hungary. The polls now closed the most controversial, fiercely contested election in almost 2 decades, with comparatively small European country drawn into the intense glare of Washington, Brussels, Moscow. These are live images on the streets on the banks of the Danube in Budapest. The incumbent Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, long the idol of the global nationalist conservative right, championed by the Trump administration as an anti-immigration, anti-woke saviour for Europe, a man of peace, not war. President Putin agrees, the closest ally of Moscow's in Europe, says analysts. Mr. Orbán has rallied against Volodymyr Zelensky, weaponising his dislike for Ukraine's leader in the campaign. And the European Parliament categorised the Orbán government as a, quote, hybrid regime of electoral autocracy. Well, tonight, the self-proclaimed thorn in the side of liberal democracy thinks he has the majority, according to Chief of Staff. But the challenger, Péter Magyar, a former insider turned critic and pro-EU candidate, has long led the polls for over a year, says he's cautiously optimistic. Let's go to Budapest. Let's bring in Clovis Casali. Clovis, talk us through where you are and what you're hearing tonight.
There are thousands of people here on the banks of the Danube, all supporters of Péter Magyar. Many came here with their family, with flags, cheering, chanting pro-Magyar slogans. A lot of enthusiasm here on the streets of Budapest. Of course, not the same in the ranks of Viktor Orbán's supporters. Moments ago, you had Péter Magyar, the conservative candidate, who appeared on the screens addressing the nation, addressing his supporters, saying that he and his supporters can be optimistic. Victory is possible. Those were his words. But he has also called everyone to remain calm, serene before official results are announced. And then he said carnival can begin and partying can begin. And I can tell you that here on the banks of the Danube, many people will be celebrating if he wins, if those results show that he beats the incumbent Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. Worth pointing out also that Péter Magyar also spoke of some irregularities that his teams will be investigating in the near future, and those irregularities, well, unacceptable for him. There has been talk here in Budapest, in Hungary, of possible irregularities, both sides accusing the other of cheating in a way, but you do have international observers and observers from both sides who all day at the polling stations have been checking how the vote has been taking place, if it has been a free and fair election. But here in the streets of Budapest, clearly upbeat mood, and people here rather positive and confident, the supporters of Péter Magyar, that he is going to win. But of course, we'll have to wait for the results.
When you say wait for the results, we've had one kind of provisional expected result through. Again, it's worth thinking about how we treat this. This is before the poll took place, but it is seen as something that's been representative in the past, which suggests there could be a majority in terms of a constitutional majority, maybe 2/3 of the vote for Péter Magyar. Talk us through what you're waiting for in terms of results coming through tonight, Clovis, timing-wise.
First, it has to be stressed that this is a very complex electoral system, so difficult to know exactly when we'll get the precise results. Moments ago, I was at the headquarters of TISA, the party, or at least for tonight, for election night, with TISA members who were confident they would get a majority tonight. Maybe not that 2/3 majority in Parliament that would give them sweeping powers, but they are confident that they will get victory. Of course, we have to remain cautious. And then you do have Péter Magyar saying that you have to remain positive, that victory is possible. Why is it so complicated? Because you've got two kinds of vote, a national one and then a district one. And then you aggregate all of those results in order to get the exact number of seats in Parliament. And that could take possibly days to know exactly the number of seats that the winner would get. That's that's why it's important to remain cautious. But again, here on the streets of Budapest, a lot of enthusiasm among the Péter Magyar supporters. This is a pivotal moment for Hungary. We've been stressing it all day. You said it in your lead into this live. This is a very important moment for the country because it's a decision between moving closer to Russia or strengthening ties with Europe. Péter Magyar, the Conservative candidate, wants stronger ties with Europe. He also wants those billions of euros blocked by Brussels as a sanction to be given back to Hungary. Much needed money, of course, here in the country. Viktor Orbán, on the other hand, close ally of Moscow, very difficult relations with most of his European partners. So, yes, it's a small country, less than 10 million inhabitants, but everyone is closely monitoring the result of this vote.